So tonight I am introducing Dan, whom actually had a harrowing encounter around the same year Mark, Rio, and myself heard some vocalizations up near Forest Lake, far up American Fork Canyon in Utah. I recently reached out to Dan after he commented on a Bigfoot face post made by someone else about prints found in Utah. So this is simply a phone conversation and not a formal interview. So you'll kind of hear me saying things like, okay, and less interviewing questions and probably more mumbling on my part. I did absolutely get Dan's permission to release this phone call, and of course in a few places it has been edited for clarity, etc. In addition to his initial story, you'll also hear Dan recount an earlier experience where he actually saw Sasquatch with a friend up near the Bountiful, Utah area. Plus, in closing, I will relate my own experience up near where Dan had his encounter and also rehearse my most recent experience from this past summer. In my opinion, Dan comes across as open, honest, genuine, and credible during the course of the phone conversation, and I have no reason to doubt the validity of his accounts.
I've hunted all my life, and I've never had anything like this happen.
Yeah, that's a lot of people will say that similar thing. I've been in the woods, hundreds of hours, decades, and all of a sudden, something weird happens like that. But anyway.
Okay, well, this was on a Sunday. I can't tell you which, exact day. It was probably about 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
My friends and I, we went in 2 Jeeps. We went up the trail. And you know how the trail goes through the rocks and it goes straight, and then there's a little opening, and then the trail goes to the left into the pines?
Yeah, I think there's kind of a broader area where these big round boulders.
Yeah, it's real open. They have the fences and stuff to keep people.
Yeah, yep. I remember that.
I went up through there, and then we took the left, and you start going into the pines where it's all pine dirt, real soft to walk on. But we're in Jeeps, and it starts to kind of curve to the right, and there's a little place kind of on an angle where you can tell where people pulled off the trail to stop and let other people go by.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we pulled over there. We were hanging out for a minute, got back in the Jeep, drove the rest of the way up to the lake. We got up to the lake. I can't find my phone. I was looking to take pictures, like with all of us. You know how phones are. They have everything these days, and they cost so much.
Yep, they're really handy.
We were all looking around in the Jeep, couldn't find it. Went back down. It was dark, but we tried to look the few places we stopped. Went down. We all went home. Bugged me so bad. I lost my phone, all my pictures of my kid, and so Monday morning, I woke up really early, and I let my boss know. It had to have been where we pulled off the road on that angle, and it was on my lap, and I got out. It wouldn't have gotten ran over, hopefully. And I was so, I think it's right there. So early Monday morning, you know how that canyon's real busy, but come Monday morning, there's no one, hardly.
Yeah, weekends it's an ant bed, but during the week I bet they have free reign up there anyway. Go ahead.
Well, I went up early Monday morning, to where I got and I took my Toyota Tacoma. It's stock. I parked it right where you park. Well, I went to drive up it. Well, it was still kind of dark, right when this happened. It was barely getting light. And I was like, no, I better not do it. I'm going to hurt my truck.
Yeah.
So I parked it by that sign.
Good.
And I'm walking up. It's just barely getting light. Looking around, just thinking maybe it fell out here, because we stopped in that rock garden to play around. And as you walk up and you turn into the trees, I'm walking and it starts to come around. I could show you, I walked for a good, from turning into the pines right there, I walked in easily 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And where it turns to go up to where the big ruts, you can go maybe 2 ways. And there's that little pull off. I looked there, didn't see it. And then when I kept walking, and I heard it sound like a baseball bat hitting a telephone pole.
So really loud.
Never heard it in my life. I've Googled many things, even on the internet. I'm like, it was louder than that. But right when that happened, Like, I kind of paused, like, what was that? And I could hear something moving up on the hill, probably maybe 50 to 75 yards, maybe 50. It couldn't have been that far. I could hear it moving. And it didn't, and I'm just like, what was that? And, you know, I've never watched Finding Bigfoot or anything like that, but I've heard, like, people say they knock 3 times.
Yep.
But it was just one knock, really loud. So I kind of thought in my head, like, it has to be a bear. And then I'm like, what would do that? It scared me almost to where I couldn't move, because I've heard, like, they've made fun of me at work since I've told them this. But I've sat there with my phone, and I'm like, what makes this sound? What? Nothing. We were Googling bighorn sheep, because they're all hunters, saying whatever. But I walked as quiet as I can, because I was so scared. I kind of turned, and I was walking backwards, kind of listening to the sound. And it moved the same distance as that trail went. It crunched about 10 feet behind me. And I was walking backwards, like, on that pine dirt. Like, I wanted to run, but I couldn't. I couldn't run. I wanted to, but I was so scared, trying to think logical. But I've never heard a tree knock in my life. In my whole life hunting, never. I've always thought, why would they do that? You know, I don't know. It was just it was so loud. And I heard it moving, and as I walked back, it was moving. It sounded pretty close to the same distance, almost like side hilling, but it was like a little bit behind me. And I was more scared than I've ever been in my life. And I'm walking, and as soon as I hit where you hit in the pine dirt, and there's that opening, so there's that little camp where it opens up to that little rock garden.
Yeah.
You know, it took me a little bit, and my heart was just beating out of my chest, but I could hear something moving, like it was following me, but up in the hill, like up higher. I'd hear a branch break, then all of a sudden snap, and it was like it was staying above me, and I was trying to think logical, like it's a bear or something, but I've never heard a tree knock, never. Like, I used to follow Utah Sasquatch after this happened. I started following him, but then I don't think I do anymore. I think I tried to send him this and said I had to pay money to talk. I'm not sure. I'll keep going, sorry, with my story, but when I hit that opening where it turns into the open area, and it's like maybe 300 yards to the sign, maybe more, I'm not good with. I was walking backwards. There was no one up there. No cars, no one parked. Then this was early, and I was walking backwards expecting something to come running out. But once I got down about 100 yards, I started kind of trying to relax and move down towards my truck. So it was through that whole pine section. Something was staying like the same distance, like almost like I thought it was going to run down I don't know, I didn't know what to think. Normally I have a gun on me, but I didn't, I'm looking for my phone early on a Monday morning, and I hear a big smack. I've never heard anything I've heard elk and deer hit antlers. I Googled bighorn sheep bumping heads, and because I don't know what else is up there, but it was almost like it just stayed above me till I hit that section where I started going down. And to this day, once I turn, I don't even get out of my Jeep. I've gone up it 2 times, and if I have to go to the bathroom, I hold it till the lake. I'm not getting out of my Jeep there. It scared me too bad. It scared me way too bad.
Yeah, something like that would completely take you off guard. I mean, like, I have heard it's very common that they will, you probably heard this since you've researched it, since then, that they'll kind of, they can hear them following them out, and there's nothing, there's no animals that kind of follow you out of an area. I mean, they'll run off, or they'll just look at you and let you pass, but don't know anything
You know,
else.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it, but
Okay.
that other message you got from that other guy that was saying that Todd guy's name.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I actually told him about this, and I was actually talking to my friend today because I was remembering you were on to talk. When back in 2004, something happened to me and him together. We really can't say what it was, but I ended up typing in Bigfoot up Bountiful Canyon, and something came up that same year within that same month.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was just texting him today, like, dude, what year did you buy this car and sell your truck? And he's like, 2004. And then I asked him a few more questions because I didn't want to lead him on to what I read.
Oh, yeah.
But it kind of makes me wonder on that one, too. But
was it?
Yeah.
Just curious on that one. Was it like some, odd something rustling in the usual?
No, we saw something. We saw it.
Oh, you saw something. Wow.
Yeah, we saw it.
You could tell it wasn't a bear, but you couldn't tell what it was, maybe? Or?
Oh, no, it's not a bear. I've tried to tell me. That's why we haven't. It happened so long ago, and
yeah.
But it was have you been up Bountiful Canyon?
I don't think I have. I've been up a lot of canyons, but I know it's kind of where it would be up north, but I don't think I've been up there.
Yeah, I actually live in Bountiful, so we used to go there. We go there a lot.
Okay.
But we actually, and I've always told myself that was a guy in Carhartt. Like a Carhartt with a hood on. But there's no reason a guy would be there. It's just trying to think logical. But other than that, happened back then. He says it was Bigfoot. I says, dude, we don't know because it was 200 yards away. But
was it
this what happened,
furry and dark, or was it during the middle of the day?
It was brownish. It was. We did landscaping.
Okay.
And I didn't have a car back then. Now I'm 37. But back then we were probably, I can't remember. I was born in 82.
You must have been like 11, maybe, or
no, I was
16 years ago. No, I guess
we were. I don't think we were 20.
Closer
we might have been close to
20.
Yeah.
21.
He had a Ford F-150, and we both did landscaping, and he'd pick me up, and we'd drive to the McDonald's in Centerville where we'd park his truck, and we'd ride with the boss to do landscaping. And this was probably in April or March. He says March, but I was thinking more like maybe April. But it was in the spring. And I didn't show him anything on this report. I was just kind of asking him to see what he remembered today. Like I got his text listening to it, but I asked him when he lost it, traded his truck in for his car, and he said it was the summer of 2004. So we went up to go to work. My boss called us while we're sitting there at 6:30, and he said today's going to be a washout with rain. But it was one of those days it rained in the valley and snowed in the mountains because it was still early. So we went up. We're like, hey, let's go up Bountiful Canyon, test your new tires, because we were already awake. We drove up the canyon, and above there's a place called Dead Man's Curve. It started to get really socked in where you can't, when you've been in a car in the fog and you almost you can't tell if you're on the road or not.
Yeah, it's a little rough, yep.
Yeah, it was like that. Got up in the clouds. We couldn't see 10 feet in front, but it was a Monday. No one's up there. And it started to snow. We got up to a place called Buckland Flats. It's about maybe 4 or 5 miles up the road. And there's a big pull off. There's a place where it pulls off and a trail goes down the mountain. It's about 6 to 8 inches of snow. We can't see, but we know where we're at. It took us a second, but we realized, so we pulled down to the right where it goes down the off-road trail. We stopped because we don't want to get stuck. There's no one there, no tracks, nothing in the snow, no ATVs. Monday morning, 7:30 probably. We drive down there, turn around, just playing in the snow. It's still real thick. We come back out the road and we're like, now they have a gate there, but back then they didn't in the winter. So we drove up the road. We still can't see because the road cuts to the right and you're a few hundred yards above where we just were. We were driving and we looked to the right and the clouds just clear for about 8 to 10 seconds to where there's like clouds coming in. There's a little tiny meadow about 300 to 500 yards below you. And there's something all brownish red walking, turns in a weird way, looks at the truck, like back up at the truck like it saw or heard us, turns around and it walked up this hill, and with it, as it still didn't make it to the top within those 8 to 10 seconds, clouds came back through and it was gone. And we both instantly turned and right at each other and go, "Did you see that?" Like instantly we both said that at the same time with big eyes, and we drove up, ended up starting to get stuck. It's just a stock truck with good tires. Turned around. I've read this article about 3 years ago because I was curious. And I just typed in Bigfoot at Bountiful Canyon. And a BFR guy, that same Todd guy, has a report of somebody saying they were coming down the canyon the same year in March that I read, which kind of confuses me because they don't really say what they're in. And usually there's snow right there. But they said they were coming down and it ran from left to right across the road. Like it was ducked down and it stood up when they high beamed it and it ran across the road and up the bank, and that bank's real steep. And that's within 200 yards, 300 yards of where we saw ours within the same month. And I had never read this. I'm not even kidding. So I contacted the guy and was talking to that Todd guy about this.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know for sure. I don't know enough about it. He was trying to tell me, like, the knock that I heard was them telling, like, if it was Bigfoot, they were telling how many people there were, which I don't know if I really believe that or if that's just his opinion. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I've
didn't really...
heard that a theory is that it's to alert other Bigfoot that, there's someone in the area. I haven't heard the thing about the number yet, but I don't know.
Well, I agree with you. That day when I was up there, that's what I felt like. I felt like if that's what it was, because I've never heard a knock like that in my life. And we heard movement. I heard movement. It sounded like it was off to the left of the road, but I can't really say 100%, but I thought I heard a little branch. But I felt like that was a warning. Hey, a human's walking up here. Everyone quiet. I don't know. I don't know a ton about it, but ever since, I just didn't want to say anything to you about the other one until I talked to my friend.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't really talk to him. I just more said, hey, I started out, what year you sell your car? Because I didn't want to lead him into it. I kind of wanted him to tell me what he remembered, because that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to approach it, I would think.
I don't know.
One other thing that's interesting is I've heard, lots of times Bigfoot or Sasquatch will be a little more at ease when they know, it's cloudy or it's raining, where not as many people are out or they can't be seen as easily. And I would imagine it was just kind of strolling along, and there was that break in the clouds, and it was kind of, was exposed for a minute, and it was kind of surprised, oh, there you were as well. So just as surprised as you were, but anyway. But
I don't dare walk in there like anymore. But there was no tracks. Like there's no four-wheeler. There's no tracks. We're fresh tracks in the fresh snow. And it was early. We just got canceled from work on a Monday. Seems like Monday is the day I need to not go in the mountains.
That would make sense. I mean, they would be, if they're going to be during the day, definitely would want to be like early, when nobody's up there and on a weekday, and they'd be probably more at ease walking around and just hold up in maybe cave or wherever they go. But they,
Yeah, it's just weird to think Bountiful. But that Todd guy, he made it sound like he followed trackways down into Ward Canyon, which is a canyon to the north. I don't know. I just don't know for sure if I was kind of like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't. Why would a Bigfoot count people and hit trees that many times? Just because there's 10 people, he's not going to hit it 10 times.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. That's what made me kind of wonder when he said that. But I haven't talked to anyone really about that.
And about Utah Sasquatch, actually, I've actually met him and gone out on outings a few times with him.
Yeah, I've watched your videos. I watched your YouTube before I even knew who you were.
Oh, me? Oh, Wasatch Sasquatch Wendigo. Yeah, we've went on a few outings here and there. He's a pretty nice guy. He, I guess, he took down most of his videos because I could tell you different reasons why, but he's kind of moved on to other things for the most part. And he's just his wife had another baby, and so they have, I think, maybe 4 kids now or something. Anyway.
I think the last video I watched, he was going down through the Ogden, somewhere in Ogden by the river.
Yeah, he lives up that way. But yeah, he used to go all around Ogden up there.
Yeah, I think I read something about Ogden back in the day.
Yep. Well, let me, I guess, go ahead and tell you my story up in Forest Lake. That just reminded me. Well, actually, I have one up in American Fork Canyon where I heard some interesting stuff. That's my most recent one, but I guess I'll tell you the Forest Lake one if you mind. It's maybe not as close up as yours, but it's kind of interesting.
Oh, no, that's fine. Mine, I would never want one like that again.
Well, so, let's see. So it was actually myself, a guy named Mark, and then Rio, the Utah Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
And we were actually going, visiting some places that he was familiar with on another part of, the other side of Temple Fork or something, and then I suggested this place up by, Forest Lake because it looked good on the map as far as it's northeast. It's, usually that's where the thickest forests are, and if there's water, it's a plus, so when we wrapped everything else up, we said, okay, well, let's go ahead and head up there, and so we went up there, and we, as I remember it, we parked to that spot that you mentioned, and then we hiked up the last couple miles, and it was, getting nearer the end of the day. We were, it was getting, I think this was maybe early October or something like that, and so anyway, it was getting near dusk. We had been there's a trail that, kind of goes around and up around the lake, and I think it intersects with a Pine Hollow Peak. No, it doesn't. There's some route that it intersects with further up. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we kind of looked at, found some, knocked over trees and things that looked like they could be potential, crude structures and signs maybe, and then we kind of went down, we're getting closer to leaving, and Rio kind of went off on his own with his dogs, and so he was kind of off. We weren't sure where he was. And then it started to get dark, and myself, I was there with Mark. He likes to do, there were some owls on the other side of the lake, and he was calling out to them, and they were responding, and then he did a few dove calls. We kind of sat on this log there, and then I did a duck call, which I can do, and so anyway, we did all that and didn't really hear much except some, owl replies. So we were, getting ready to leave. Rio was we finally saw Rio, and he was, he wanted to stay longer, but, we had to go. We had other things we had to do and the next day. Mm-hmm. So then he was kind of, maybe, I don't know, maybe like 100 feet behind us with his dogs, and he, and then I was with Mark up front, and so we were, just about to exit. We were past the lake and about to turn off to, go to the main routes out. And then right when we were doing that, this explosion of sound happens like in front of us. It's it's tough to judge how far. It wasn't, that far, but it wasn't that close. Maybe a couple 100 feet. I don't know. But it sounded more like, kind of canine. But what happened was it sounded like this one alpha male one like let off a, you know, almost like a wolf or something, and then all these other ones joined in, and it maybe lasted, I don't know, maybe like 20 seconds, and then it was just dead silent. And we were wondering at the time. I thought, well, was that coyotes? And then
Mhm.
Rio instantly thought it was, Sasquatch, but I wasn't so sure at the time. But when I replay it in my mind,
Yeah, that's scary.
yeah, when I replay it in my mind, you know, coyotes, at least my experience with coyotes, they kind of yip and whine, and they'll kind of trail off eventually in the distance, but they won't just, have a huge explosion of sound and then nothing. I mean, you can't hear anything at all. So, everything just stops again.
Yeah, and then it's super silent.
Yeah, so that's that's what happened, and we tried to do a response. So all three of us let out our best, impersonation of dogs and wolves, and we still didn't get any response. So we just, basically walked off, and none of us recorded it because we were so shocked, and it was short enough. I hardly had any battery life left, even if I tried, and so among all of us, we all had recording equipment, and none of us did anything with it, and we were just, that's kind of how it goes. You get,
I
flummoxed
think
or
it's.
whatever. And anyway,
I wouldn't even if when it happened to me, I would have been. I don't even if I had found my phone. I thought I was dead, and I don't even know what it was. All I
yeah,
can say is what happened. I just wish someone was with me so I could have hid behind them.
yeah.
No, that's scary. Yeah, I won't.
Um,
I just barely started going up Forest Lake like that was one of my first years, and
hmm.
I get creeped out up there,
Yeah, this
even
was a
anywhere
couple
up
of years
there.
ago in my mind, but I went up one other time, and I had the impression I was alone, and that something was kind of, I don't know, almost following me, but I couldn't, it was quite, when I was walking, it seemed like you could hear something, but when I would stop, it wouldn't, hear anything. So I don't know, it was getting dark, and I didn't, like, that wasn't anything definitive,
No,
but
that's
it's kind of, you
scary.
get that feeling up there. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
I guess I'll tell you real quick my one from this summer, if you got a
No,
minute
I want to
more.
hear. I feel like I can't tell no one anything that's happened.
Okay. Well, this is American Fork Canyon up. Do you know where Pine Hollow Peak is? It kind of sits between the Tibble Fork Reservoir and the Alpine Loop. The hot the paved road that goes up around Timpanogos. Anyway, it's kind of between those two, between Tibble Fork and the.
Okay, I've never been that way, but I know my friends in Jeeps who have gone that way.
Yeah, so it's not, so there's a 2 mile. Well, you have to hike about a couple miles at least up um, this trail that goes up above Tibble Fork, and it's a fairly narrow trail, but and then there's a kind of a side trail. Anyway, Rio picked this place. Well, let me back up, I guess. By myself and Mark Whitten, I thought it looked pretty good up there, so I said let's go up there sometime to look around during the day, and yeah, we saw a lot of again crude structures and potential sign, and so then Rio just kind of on his own, he said, hey, this would be a good spot. This was just clearing up here. I'm going to do an outing there. You can join me. He had to bow out on it because his wife was having contractions at the time, leading up to their fourth child.
Mhm.
So anyway, we didn't go, and then I said, well, I'll do an outing there a little bit later, and I invited some people, but there were miscommunications and different things. Anyway, it so happened that I was the only one there, and I thought, well, I'm gonna still go anyway. So then I hiked up there, and I worked till 7 p.m. So I basically was hiking up at dusk and into the dark, and then
Yeah.
I had a GPS coordinate, so I was just kind of following that. I had a I was off trail for a little while. I've since found a better little trail that goes there, but anyway, it's a clearing, and I was sure to have myself in the middle of the clearing, so I didn't want to be at the forest edge because if something came out, I didn't want to be too freaked out. And so anyway, I got there about 10:30. About 12, and these times are rough estimates. about 12:30, I could tell something. It seemed like it kind of noisily or heavily positioned itself on one side of the clearing, and then in about 1:30, something else was on the other side. And I'm just sitting here in my bag the whole time, pretending I'm asleep. And I never slept the whole night, and so I just kind of lay there. And then about maybe I can't remember. Sometime I had the times written down somewhere, but sometime during the night, I heard a loud crack, and this wasn't like a knock. It was something that must have been a tree. Even it was probably a half-foot in diameter or something. Maybe it wasn't that big, but it sounded pretty loud. Crack in the distance. Pretty maybe again maybe I don't know 200 feet at most, or I don't know. Then later on in the night, this might have been about 3 a.m. I actually heard what sounded like bipedal running, like something skipped across the edge of the clearing and swish, 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 swish to the other edge. And it didn't sound like how a horse gallops, kind of like ka-thump, ka-thump, ka-thump. It was more just plop, 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 but it was through the grass, so it was swish, swish, swish.
Yeah, it didn't sound like a deer running.
Yeah, exactly. I can kind of tell the difference, and
it
sounded like a Olympic sprinter, but they had a little weight, quite a bit of weight behind them, and it wasn't so big that I could hear thump, thud, thud, but it was pretty substantial, the weight. And it was the moon was less than half. It was just a little less than half. I mean, who's gonna do a full tilt sprint in the middle of the night at 3 in the morning? And anyway, so that was that. And then later on, I also heard some like clacking, rock clacking, like seemed like somebody was almost fashioning something, or like if they were flint napping or something. But I don't know what it was. It sounded like that. And then I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Oh, one other thing I could hear about, and this I don't know if it's my imagination, but it seemed like about 4:30, the first one that moved in moved out, and 5:30 the other one moved out, and 6:30 it was light. So I guess they were kind of there most of the night. So anyway, that's that experience. And that was just the summer.
Does that scare you?
Yeah, I just kind of well, actually, this one, sometimes they have things where they project fear. I had one where I had felt a lot more fear, but this time luckily it wasn't too intimidating. I don't know why, but it was, it seemed okay. Like they weren't, I don't know, maybe they weren't seeing me as much of a threat. Maybe I'd been up there before and they kind of knew me. So, some people say they're really intuitive psychically. I don't know. It's just theory like everything else. But that one luckily wasn't as intimidating as some. I had one that was a lot more intimidating where I was hiking in the snow and I slipped and heard a whoop on the other side of the creek. That was up hiking toward in late January towards Lake Blanche. But anyway.
Oh, Big Cottonwood.
Yeah. And it was a time where there weren't many people up there because it was late and it was winter. And there were some people, but they'd gone home. So.
Oh yeah, if you go up on a weekday, it's crazy that no one's there. Hardly anyone.
Anyway, for my most recent story, I haven't seen them yet, so you've done better than me there. So
well,
I don't know if I want to see them close up. So I prefer further off.
Yeah, our spot didn't look like the Patty or nothing.
Was it
we saw
kind of thin, or was it wide-shouldered, or I don't know?
Well, I haven't ever talked to my friend about it. What I think I saw, but have you seen the old Disney movie of Bigfoot with Candace Cameron from Full House?
I don't think I have.
She's like, she was little, so it had to have been. I watched it as a kid and it scared me. But if you Googled it, you would see like a little part. But it's a Disney movie. I don't know if it's called just Bigfoot, but that's more like what I saw. I don't know. My friend, I haven't ever asked him.
What's it called again? I'm in front of the computer now. And
type in like Disney movie Bigfoot. Maybe something will pop up.
I think I see it here. They're like two people and they're kind of holding the hand of the Bigfoot or something. Hold on, let me.
That movie is how I would describe what we saw for those split seconds. But I know that hill that it walked up. I've walked up it grouse hunting before. Before all this, like probably 5 years, 10 years, a while before this. He walked halfway up that hill quicker than I could have. But that's when the clouds were gone. It was like a look back, walk up the hill, clouds gone, everything's gone. But when I Googled it, that's what freaks me out the most. Because all my life I've told myself that was a dude in Carhartt. I don't know where he came from. I don't know why he'd be walking there in a snowing whiteout on a Monday morning at 7. There's no four-wheeler. Why would you be there? And then I saw this and I read this.
Probably so no one could see him, but of course that'd be because it's not a dude out there. It's something
What's
else.
weird though is there's so many people there. Well, he was farther off the trail where it's thick shrub oak. It was just weird. Weird.
I just sent you a photo of what I guess, at least on the Facebook, of what I found for the Disney thing. But anyway, I guess later on you could just say, "Yep, that's it," or whatever. But anyway, I guess I found it.
Okay.
Well, anyway, thanks for your time, Dan. And,
thanks for talking
really
to me.
So.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture and I'll let you know if what you posted just showed me is what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, sounds good. And I maybe talk to you later, but anyway, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Have a good night.